Welcome to Insights from Elsewhere. My name is Cynthia Portugal, and I'm Brazilian. I live in São Paulo, Brazil. I'm the growth director at Insight Platforms. We created this podcast to go beyond the big insights markets of North America and Western Europe. We are going to take a look and talk to insight professionals from Latam, Asia, Africa, and beyond to find out how they are doing research, their experience with research technology, how they influence back their headquarters with the local nuances and local knowledge, curiosities about the field in those regions. Today, I'm talking to Constanza Cilley. She's the executive director for Voices, Research and Consultancy in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Constanza has more than 20 years' experience in social and market research in agencies like TNS Gallup Argentina. She's also the author of the book Argentina Solidaria, una invitación a ser parte, and she is also part of several insights organizations like ESOMAR, WAPER, WIN, and SIMO. And she will talk about those later. I've actually seen her presenting several events like ESOMAR Connect or IEX Latam. So she presented amazing case studies from her work in Argentina. Constanza, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Cynthia. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
First of all, tell us a bit about your journey into market research.
My mom is a legendary researcher from Argentina. She founded a Gallup in Argentina in the early 80s. But when I grew up, I didn't really see this industry as a possibility. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a family lawyer. And I studied law. In fact, I'm a lawyer. But then it happened that while I finished university, someone from my mom's office from Gallup, Argentina, called me because they had a very huge job for the Ministry of Justice in Argentina. And they needed someone to check with the technical issues of the questionnaire. So I went there and did just that. But then they wanted some input on the analysis. And I went and did that. And one thing brought to another thing. And a year after, I looked back and say, well, I'm working here. And I enjoy it a lot. Yes, and I love it. So that's how it's not the straight journey towards my mother's land, but I did a strong route. But once I landed there, I never wanted to let it go. And then Gallup Argentina was bought by TNS. Then it was bought by WPP. And when it was bought by WPP, I was the general manager of TNS Gallup in Argentina. It was really exciting. A lot of international relations, which helped us a lot to build our capabilities. But I really traveled a lot. I spent most of my time in a plane, and I wanted to be a mother. And that's when we decided to leave TNS and founded our own boutique company, which is called Voices in Argentina. But as we didn't want to lose this international part that we found really so inspiring, we are part of the WIN network, which is a network of market research independent companies. And here I am.
Oh, that's amazing. And does WIN works only for in Latam and Argentina, or do you have connections with other countries as well outside Latam?
No, it's a global network. The current president is from Ireland, and we have people there from all over the world. It's one agency per country.
That's amazing.
We share a lot of experiences, and we coordinate an international survey every year on social topics to help our clients better understand the global context and the local context.
Amazing. Yeah, I see. As I mentioned before, you were part of Isomar and Waper and Wing and a lot of institutions. So, what's the importance of being part of those global and local institutions for a researcher?
I think it's a must to do. When thinking, for instance, about young researchers, one of my advices is always to look and reach out for the community. I think we have a lot of work to do. We have a profession which is really a great profession, has a lot of purpose. It can really bring impact, bridging the gap and making consumers and citizens' views closer to decision makers in companies, in governments, in NGOs. But it's not very visible, our profession. I think
Yeah.
that we have really a great to do, something very big to make our profession more visible and more well known. As researchers, we are sometimes quite keen on staying with the data and analyzing the data and just our clients. But I think that we need to break through that and speak to the world about our profession so that more people join and we can deliver more impact.
It's amazing. Yes, I think as researchers, we tend to be a bit shy about like what is great about it. And if you talk to like 99% of researchers, they weren't planning to be researchers. They just ended up there, which is an important data. Because if we think about it, it's a profession that once you try it out, it's very hard to leave. So there is something there that should be told beforehand for people to actually want to be a researcher, right?
Exactly. And also in most countries, you don't have one career that is a market research researcher. You come
Yeah.
from different backgrounds, psychology, communications, technology, really different backgrounds. But that means that young people don't have it in their scope when they make their choices
Yeah.
and their decisions. So it's a big job that we have there and that I'm interested in collaborating with that.
Amazing. Congrats on that. And I will keep tuned on everything that you're doing in the region. Talking about the region, what is unique when you think about research, like the research landscape and doing research in Argentina? What are the things that you only see in Argentina and not in other countries?
Yes. In Argentina, we have a lot of political and economic crises. And that means that people are used to living on context of uncertainty, in context of high inflation, of insecurity, of not being able to plan to the future. And that, which of course is negative, it is brought as an advantage when doing market research. Because we have, first of all those characteristics that I just mentioned related to Argentina are now really global characteristics.
Yes.
And Argentinians have a lot of experience surfing those waves.
Yes.
So you can see that in international teams, when you have someone from Argentina, that we have built a resilience and an ability to cope with stress and uncertainty, that it's really useful, and flexibility, which is so important for our industry. Also, we had a very special moment, which was from mid of the 80s to the 2000s, where we were very favorable, very cost efficient. Labor was cheaper in Argentina than in other countries. On the other hand, Argentina is one of the countries in Latam where people have a stronger educational background. So we have really good professionals. And in this period of time, Argentina was developed sort of a hub for international coordinations. We coordinated from Argentina not only Latam, but also in many cases, international jobs. And this was enormous opportunity because it enabled us to be in charge with the last methodologies, the last technologies, and we've incorporated them. Now we are not so favorable in terms of currency exchange, but we have that strong background of having been able during so many countries to coordinate international jobs and all that that means. And the other thing that I wanted to point out about Argentina that you were speaking about before is the associations. We have a very strong community here in Argentina, which is led by SIMO. And now I'm currently the president of SIMO, but I've been involved for many years. And that really makes a lot of difference. When you need something, you have a space where you can discuss, where you can collaborate. Of course, we are competitors, but we have the collaboration line very much developed. We make life not only easier, but nicer.
Oh, that's amazing. You were talking before, you talked a lot about local voices, right? So when we are thinking about the local voices in Argentina, what are the challenges and opportunities now for research to get deep into those local voices?
Well, Argentina is really a very, very huge country, which is very diverse. This is the case also of many of the countries in Latin America. It's not the same for a consumer to live in Mexico City that in Monterrey or in San Pablo and Manaus or Buenos Aires and the north of our countries. Our countries are really huge and very diverse. And that it implies many challenges, some of which technology has helped a lot in addressing. But sometimes when clients or international coordinators only look into the internet penetration, and so they think that because of high internet penetration, we can apply those methodologies here. But when we then find in field is that although internet penetration is high, there are a lot of challenges and barriers related to internet literacy. And infrastructure barriers, such as the width of the internet bands and such. And last but not least, insecurity in many of our countries is a very strong issue. So when you have enumerators in the field with tablets, this can be very, very tricky in some places.
Yes, we had some people reaching out to us at Inside Platforms asking, how can I make my fieldwork more modern or technological? Because it's dangerous to go out there with tablets and equipment to conduct interviews. And at the same time, we don't want to use paper anymore because it takes another way of collecting that you need to type afterwards. You need to do a lot of things afterwards, and it takes much longer, right? So, yeah, I completely understand. And we have the same in Brazil for ages. This is always being a struggle, right?
And also ignoring the symbolic or the culture. For instance, you can have any client wanting to introduce a beverage to compete with mate, which is sort of a herb that we Argentinians and Uruguayans love, and in some places of Brazil, popular as well. If they don't understand that mate is not just another beverage, but is something that is really embedded in a culture, in a national identity, well, they will fail if they don't understand the particularities and the symbolisms of our countries.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, this is one of the things that normally global headquarters or clients would get wrong about Argentina. Do you have any more good stories about times when you had either clients or headquarters or whatever trying to go into Argentina and they completely got it wrong? Do you have any good stories about that?
Yes. For instance, when working B2B, for instance, in a study about when you need to interview companies, we had some people of an international organization who said, we have the database, The database of these companies is provided by an official supplier coming from the government. So that means that the quality of the database is going to be great. And we know it's not going to be great.
It's not
We
going.
know that it's no guarantee that it comes from an official. That is a very small thing, but I think that serves a lot to showcase why it's always important to have a local view, a local opinion on things. And in terms of business, for instance, huge companies such as Zurich or MedLife try to introduce in Argentina some services that are very popular elsewhere that have to do with life insurance or retirement packs.
Yeah.
And if they fail to understand inflation, the urgencies that we have, and how difficult it is in Argentina to plan ahead,
Yes.
they didn't work. They didn't work. They had to adapt them. And the same, for instance, when you have those clubs or that global retail and supermarkets want to export directly from Europe, that imply that people, when they buy, gain points, and then you can trade those points. But if you have an year to trade those points, they will be devaluated because there's inflation. So there's a lot of things that really need the local input. For instance, in one of the studies that we did last year, that is one of the cases that you mentioned that I presented near ex Miami. It was for a region, for a supermarket that wanted to understand women's reality regarding
Yeah.
menstrual products more. There, we had a finding which was very surprising for the client, which was that poor women, were very interested in incorporating the menstrual cup. And the reason they were interested in incorporating the menstrual cup was because of environment reasons, because it's a lot more ecological. What they were surprised that the lower cell population women were the most interested in this. And then we had ethnographies that clearly showed that in very poor neighborhoods, when people discard the menstrual products, then maybe there comes a heavy rain, and that means that there are no official recollectors of the garbage. On the block has the water with the
Residues, right?
yes, with the residue of
Oh.
so having someone that says, well, it's not the environment in abstract. Is that if not the
It's my
family,
environment.
no,
And
the neighbors see in the flood the menstrual products, those things that are really so amazing because there are so many examples from Argentina and from everywhere in the world that just shows that, of course, you can do a lot of great things centrally, but if that don't have a local voice, you are missing a very important part of the picture.
and opportunities for sure.
Opportunities.
Yes. Wow, amazing. And Constanza, and what about research technology? What have you used or what's your experience with tools and platforms for research?
Yes. Well, of course, the benefits are great in terms of time, which is more and more important for clients. We live in a world with a great sense of urgency, and we need to adapt to those new timelines. Also, it's great in terms of quality control. You can control your data, your enumerators, for instance, a lot better. But there are many challenges. Challenges that are related with internet access, with internet literacy. Also, there are so many improvements and new technology being developed every day that it's really difficult to cope with the advances. This is why organizations or initiatives such as yours come so useful and at hand to help us select which are the tools that at least are worth trying. And what we find out is that sometimes what shines is not necessarily better. For instance, when it comes to online focus group, we've tried very sophisticated and with a lot of gadgets and usabilities community platforms. But in the end, for some studies, when you are targeting middle class or low class consumers, we find it's easier to just use Zoom. It
Okay.
might not be beautiful in terms of design and maybe missing some gadgets or functionalities that you need, but it's what the participants in the survey are used to using, feel familiar, feel confident. So it's always like a trade off of also when technology affects participation, understanding very well how your participants are, what are their skills or their gaps in skills, and adapting to that. Using technology is great when it really impacts the quality, speed in the general turnaround, but not always. So I think now we are all like very eager, trying and experimenting. And of course, this is great. And curiosity is one of our main values as a profession, but always keeping in mind the reality of our targets, of our participants, of our countries.
Yeah, it's not one size fits all, and every tool will work everywhere. You need to adapt locally.
I'm sorry, I want to mention lots of challenges regarding language models.
Oh, yes.
Yes, lots of challenges regarding language models. Of course, every country has these challenges. But in the case of Argentina, we are very used to speaking with metaphors.
Mhm.
Also, there are words that are ambiguous, that are words that can be easily coded as negative, but
Yes.
many Argentinians use as positive to praise someone. Maybe you use the same word that you use to tell them bad
Yes.
things. Also, there's a lot of exaggeration in our style, and that in international work needs to be considered. In scales, we always want top or the bottom.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotion put into that. And also very interesting, the emotional intensity with which we talk. We speak in many parts in Brazil, it's the same, with a lot of gestures, and that needs to be taken into account because it's very relevant input, as well as an extra talent that has to do with irony and cynicism. We speak a lot like that in Argentina. And well, language models, we speak Spanish, so that's great in terms that many of big development have Spanish incorporated. But well, we have these own local challenges.
Yes, yes, I'm there with you. Like sometimes in Brazil, you have one word that represents seven, eight different things, and you don't know what it's talking about, and if it's good or bad, it's the same challenges. And I would assume that Spanish is even more difficult because you have the nuances of Spanish. It's not because people say, okay, Latam, apart from Brazil, everyone speaks Spanish. But it's not the same thing, the same language, the same nuances. They are not the same from Spain. It's all like very local too. So you need to adapt. I was talking a few weeks ago with someone from Costa Rica, and she mentioned that each country in the Central America has a different dialect, a different way of speaking. And you have to be aware of these individual country languages to make things really work. So, yeah, the same thing. Yes. What would be like your tip for someone developing like technology for research or large language models, all those recent advances of research and insights for Argentina? Because when we think about the world, we see that there are many, many tools in English. So US, UK, Western Europe, they are covered somehow, but I feel that when we go to Latam, Africa, Asia, we are still missing a bit in technology. Not everything is available. Not everything is as easy to use as if it was in English, all those kind of things. So what would be your tip for someone that wants to invest in technology in Argentina, for example?
To get the local input,
Yeah.
with me, gaining knowledge on the challenges of implementation. There are a lot of challenges of implementation, as we were speaking, security, the internet infrastructure, what people are used. Most people in our countries have access to internet through the phone. And that means that they can be great at some communication tools, but not very sophisticated in terms of the type of technology that they are requested in some cases. So keep it simple. Always think on the implementation. I think that UX is doing a great job, but still we need to put more emphasis in the end users of this technology. And we need more initiatives such as Insights Platform, where we are a help. It's so many tools that it's really great on having partners that select which are the ones worth trying.
Amazing. Now let's talk about the imminent subject and insights, AI. What are your thoughts about the latest advances of AI for market research? How do you see it shaping market research in Latam, in Argentina, and comparing to what you've seen in the many events that you were part of around the globe as a researcher?
I think it's very exciting times working in research in the area of AI. There are really a lot of opportunities. I think that we need to think of AI as a tool, as another tool, not as a replacement, but as a really perfect complement to what we do. I think that the main challenge that we have is how to incorporate this technology without losing the capabilities that only humans have. I think that AI will leave us with the best part of our job that has to do with giving context, analyzing in depth. We have a great advantage compared to other professions since we have been training for ages in the art of asking questions.
Amazing.
Now asking questions is called prompting. We know everything about that. It's not an easy skill to develop how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And we know that. First of all, we know it's not easy.
Yes, of course.
And most people from other professionals think it's 1+1 is 2. No, it's not like that. It's really an art. And we have been working on that for ages. So I think that we have a really strong competitive advantage. And it leaves us with our core values, the core values of our profession, that are curiosity, that are flexibility. And also we have a great challenge in terms of communicating. Now, it's not enough to deliver high quality data. We need to do more than that. That's the starting point. We need to help clients understand the data and understand what is the implication of the data, of the insights that we are providing for their business or for their line of work, in a context where they are being exposed to a lot of content and a lot of interesting content. So I think that we need to work on developing and enhancing our communication capabilities, giving just the core messages and helping clients bring them into action. And that's great. The consultancy part of our job.
Yes. And I've worked like half of my professional life in agencies. And what I mostly remember is clients asking us, please provide more insights like, okay, this is the result. What do I do with this? Or how do we apply it? If it was your company, what would you do? But to be honest, I remember that most of the time I was so tied up trying to build 300 charts to be able to deliver a presentation in PowerPoint tomorrow than actually looking through the data and being able to bring this part, which is the most valuable. Recently, I was doing analysis for a global research that we did last year that was about the brands of insights, like the agencies and startups, etc., and how they were perceived, etc. And I used technology to go through coding, to go through organizing the data. And I was so happy to be like 1 week just crossing, thinking about how I could understand the data better and in depth, and not just thinking about how do I deliver this graph? How do I design this report? Or how do I put all this in one chart? I think this is a challenge too, because we are kind of in the middle of the transition. We had one big transition in the beginning of the year 2000, like from offline to online research. But now it's another transition about getting this operational work done by the machine so we can think and we can use our brains to do what we do better and we want to do. We always complain that we didn't have time for that, right?
Exactly, to decide what are the main findings and also how to deliver them. We will have more time for applying creativity in the results delivery. For instance, like a lot the notebook LM with this
Yeah.
podcast. Like, I mean, you have a lot of tools that help you deliver in a creative way, which means that your insights will be used, which is always a worst nightmare,
Yeah.
generating insights that nobody uses. So
Yeah.
I think now we will have more space and time to think about these issues.
Yes. Amazing. And thinking about AI, what is the coolest thing for insights, the insights field that it can be something you used or you heard of, you were curious to see because you heard about it. Anything. What would you say is the most exciting development?
I like how it has improved our ability to analyze photos.
Oh, yes.
That's that the I, I think it's great. I think that before or took ages, so many ages that you couldn't do it,
Yes.
or it was really difficult. And now you can do it very easily, and it really adds a lot of value, and not only to understanding consumers and citizens, but also on what we were speaking on the creative ways to communicate with them. You need
Yes.
photos, you don't find them, you build them. You
Yes.
have podcasts. You can think about building sort of a play or a small theater show to
Yes.
showcase some of the insights or the key messages. And you can really do it with the AI very easily and with a lot of speed.
Amazing. Constanza, I could spend my whole afternoon talking to you, but unfortunately, we are getting to the end of our interview. So I have three very quick questions for us to close out. What is your favorite research methodology?
I can't answer that question. I can only say that what I like best is when you have triangulation, when we are using more than one research methodology. And more, we are relying on adding in every project a module, ethnography or groups or some sort of qualitative measure that helps you really understand and be near the people. I think that with technology is great, but it might mean that you have more distance with the respondents. And that is something that as researchers we cannot use. And Qual is a great way to have this texture and mix everything and deliver greater results.
Amazing. And what's the most exciting trend in market research
A trend in market research. Well, I think that this triangulation, I think it's sort of becoming a trend. I
Yeah.
more and more see cases where agencies and researchers use mixed methods. I think that's really very cool. And also, what is becoming more clear is the importance of understanding the context. So,
Yes.
although we are in an area where specialization is key, I'm more and more finding that generally analysts who have an overview of what is happening socially, different businesses, politically, can really add value on understanding.
And last of all, what is your piece of advice for someone starting their career in market research today?
Congratulations, I would
Ah,
say on the front. No, because I think I find speaking with people here in Argentina and other parts of the world is that it's a profession where we really share values. And I think that those values are very important that have to do with curiosity, that have to do, for instance, purpose. I find that no companies and industries are looking for what is the purpose so that they can show their purpose. For us, it's obvious. It's
yeah.
been a bridge between what happens in reality to the people, to the business decisors. And also the value of flexibility, diversity, which is also a value which is very keen for young people right now, is something that we are very
Yes.
trained in because we are interested in understanding diversity. We have always looked for how and why these people feel about this different. And we've
Yeah.
analyzed them for ages with objectivity and with respect. So I think that it's a profession where we have a lot of values. We have strong communities, thanks to green books, to IIX, to SOMAR, to WAPER, and to all these communities. And it's really an exciting path that makes you a better person also, understanding how others feel, the differences between countries, between generations, between genders. Really, in the end, it makes you a better person because it makes you understand humans.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing. I love this. It makes you a better person because you understand humans. I will use this for life. Wow. Oh, thank you so much, Constanza. And I would like to thank everyone listening to the Insights from Elsewhere podcast. We are an insights and innovation podcast with experts and leaders in the insights community from Latam, Asia, Africa, and elsewhere. Today we talk to Constanza Cilley. She is the executive director for Voices Research and Consultancy, and she is based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And she talked about the landscape of research in Argentina, how you have to be considerate of the different nuances of the regions, not to lose on the local voices, and to absorb most of the opportunities in the region. She spoke about the role of technology and how technology needs to be partnered and guided with humans as well to be able to deliver great insights and great value, and also to overcome some of the challenges of the region. And she spoke a lot about the community of market research, not just in Argentina or Latam, but also abroad, talking about ESOMAR or Green Book or WAPE or WIN, all those associations that help making the work of researchers easy as well. Constanza, thank you very much for joining us today. It was amazing to understand more about Argentina and how you do your work. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes soon. And also, if you have someone great to recommend to our podcast, please send us your recommendation. Subscribe to Insight Platforms to get weekly updates straight into your mailbox about podcasts, events, webinars, ebooks, and much more about the insights fields. See you in the next episode, and thank you very much for listening to us today. And Constanza, thank you for your time and for all your knowledge that you shared today.
My pleasure, Cynthia.
Bye.
Bye.